Hi everybody, I'm Josh Carter, the pilot that made Acrobid. This video is going to be a comprehensive tutorial on how to use the bidding module. I'm going to walk you through each interface element so that you can navigate this module like a pro. You can open up the bidding module by going to the sidebar and clicking Monthly Bid. Then, up at the top, you have New, Save Load, or Submit. Start a new bid, click New. Click your month and year. Your airplane and seat should already be filled in. And click Download. If you've chosen invalid combination, or if the bid isn't open yet, it's going to say bid pack not found. This downloads the bid pack from my server, but you can also download a bid pack to your device and load it here. Note that it uses the ASC version of the bid pack. And finally, if you'd like to clear out the bid pack and come back to the main screen, you can click Clear here. You can save and load your bid to either my server, to the cloud, or to your device. Notice that if I select a month that doesn't have anything saved, it'll say not found here. There's 3 slots on your device, and there's 1 slot per month on the cloud. Let's load up a bid pack to get started. When you open up a bid pack, it is a bid assist dialog. And this lets you quickly move all reserve lines, say, to the trash. You do the same thing with secondary lines. Or you can do a one-click pay-only bid. And this has 2 options. You can either go max pay or max credit, and it'll automatically organize all the lines for people bidding in a bid-only status. If you'd like to get back to the bid assist page while working on your bid, say to move your reserve or secondary lines again, you can click the title and that will bring it back up. What I'm going to highlight is the undo function. So down here in the bottom right, I can undo many levels, and this returns me back to how the bid pack began. If I were to redo, it goes the other way. And there's about 20 levels of undo in case you make mistakes. How a bid pack will look when you first load it. It'll start at 1 and go all the way down. And I like to open up the Submit dialog to see what that looks like. So as you can see, all the lines are bid in the Submit dialog from 1 all the way down to the bottom. And you can see the secondary lines at the bottom, reserve lines right before that. And the way Acrobid works is it uses these folders to organize these lines. So it starts at the top, the best lines, and just goes and bids all the way down to things in the bid pack. And then anything in the trash are not bid. So green is bid and red is not bid. And it's in this order. So let me show you how this works in practice a little bit. So if I move 2002 above 2001, you can see that reflected in the Submit dialog as well. Now if I move it back, so right now all the lines are in order. I'm going to select lines 1 through 10. I'm going to put them at the top. And as you can see, there's no change in the order of my bid because I have 1 through 10 at the top, and then goes all the way down, and I have 11 through 20 here. So let me do it again. So now I've organized my bid a little bit with 10 lines in the first folder 10 in the second, 10 in the third, and the rest in the bid pack. Now, let's say I only wanted to bid 30 lines. I could select all of these lines. Now watch over here. So 1 through 30 should be bid, and 31 and 32 should go away. So as you can see now, we're only bidding 30 lines. Now let's go back. And instead, let's say we want to reorder our lines a little bit. So for instance, let's say I want to sort on total credit hours. Now watch what happens with lines 1 through 10. So the lines reorder in 1 through 10 without messing up the order in lines 11 through 20, and so on. So for instance, I could put all of my days off at the top, Deadheads in the middle, and some other priority in the third folder. And then when I reorder within these priorities, it doesn't mess with anything else. So this is ordered in by total credit hours, but as you can see, this is still just by line number. And there are two ways to reorder lines. So this button here, select or drag, changes between drag and select mode, and I can simply drag and drop in order to change lines. I can also right click or long touch and hold and move lines to the top or bottom. And using the select mode, I can move multiples. So if I want to move these 3 to the top, select them, right click, move to the top. And I can move selected lines into different folders as well. So for instance, if I selected 18, 19, and 20, and I put them in a different folder, they're going to go to the bottom of that folder. 18, 19, 20. If you find that you need more folders than just the 3, then what you can do is you can create priorities for, say, your top 3 choices, and then you can stack those into another folder. So for instance, I'll create an ordering here that makes sense for me, and then I'll select all the lines and put them in order here. And we'll just open this so we can see that this is not going to actually change the order of the bid. So the first 13 stay the first 13, and we're just stacking lines underneath. So the first 30 are in the same order that they were in their folders, and now I have 2 more empty folders to work with. Now let's talk about what the lines display. So each line is composed of pairings. The pairings show different information depending on what settings you have, and I can show you some of those. So it starts out, you've got layovers, layover lengths. So this is DUB and then a 32-hour layover until Milan. The colors, you don't need to memorize them. If it's color on the front, that's a front-end deadhead. Color on the back means a back-end deadhead. And I've also got this lighter color in the middle just to differentiate double deadheads to make them easy to see. If you see an airline seat, then that's a mid-trip deadhead. And you can click on the pairing in order to pull up a summary. And this shows you everything as published in the bid pack. It also shows accepted fares up here. So click or open that and it'll show you the baseline fares for that trip. So there's other information you can see here as well. So this 85.5 is a credit hour, but I can change that to be whatever I want. So if I cared about landings, say, then I can change that to say landings. This blue corresponds to whatever the sort is. So for instance, if I change the sort to the percentage of day flying, then that will show right there. I can also customize some of the things inside these pairing displays. So if you click this little monitor at the top, it's going to give you options. So you can see what something is by toggling it on or off. So if I were to toggle all of these on, then I can see at a glance which pairings have long duty periods, or single legs, or day flying, or long layovers. And sorry, the last one is RFOs, which you can toggle on and off as well. I've showed you sorting a couple of times already, but these are up here. So these, some of these are directly from the bidback. So for instance, credit hours is just published in the bidback. And some of them are calculated. So for instance, total credit hours includes block over 8, includes carryover. And here in the special column, we have carrying conflict and vacation. Now because both of those modes are disabled right now, I won't be able to sort, I won't be able to use them right now, but if we turn them on, you can sort by vacation hours or carrying conflict hours. The layover sorting option has 2 modes. If you leave it blank, it'll find the city with the longest layover, so in this case, Milan. And if you type in a city, it's going to find you the most hours in that city. So in this case, the second line, 2018, is 80 hours in Paris, but 2015 actually has more hours in Paris based on how many layovers it has. So it's going to be ranked higher. And you can see the total number of hours in a city over here on the left. Now this arrow determines if the sort is ascending or descending. And something to keep in mind here is if you are creating an order and you make a mistake, you can always undo a sort, just like you can undo anything else. All right, the next item here in the toolbar is carrying conflict. So to set it up, click Enable, and then take a look at your calendar and see when your carrying conflict trip ends. So for instance, if it ends, say, on the 30th at midnight, I would increase my days until it's the 30th. And I have to keep in mind that carrying conflict is based on the trip buffer. So in this case, the buffer would actually extend into the next day. And once I have it set up, this is kind of hard to see. So I'm going to hit this eyeball and hide the footprint. Now what I'm left with here are certain pairings that now have stripes, blue stripes. So this means that they are going to be knocked out in carrying conflict. I can come down here and set this to carrying conflict. I can see how many hours are being knocked out. And I can also go here and sort by carrying conflict to either maximize or minimize my carrying conflict hours. Now, what if I want to select, say, all the trips that have no carrying conflict so that I can eliminate them? Well, I would sort by carrying conflict, and I'd come and find the 0, the last 0 here, right-click, or long touch and hold, select everything above, and I could throw all those in the trash. And now all I'm left with are trips with carrying conflict. Now let's look at vacation. So I click on the umbrella, I enable vacation, and just like carrying conflict, I need to set it up first. So for instance, if I have a week 1 trip that's 10 days long, I can set it up here. I can change the week. And then this is reserve extension, and this is automatically do the calculation for you. So if I wanted 4 days of reserve extension, I can put that on there. Now this says potential expansion is maximum of 66 credit hours. So this is doing the calculation for you. And the thing to look at here is this red hashed border. And this shows me which pairings can be knocked out by an expansion. So if we look at these pairings here, this pairing could be knocked out because 38 plus 24 is below 66. But in this case, this trip would exceed that 66 because of the 2 trips totaling 46 credit hours. So if you have any questions, you can touch this and it'll give you a whole expansion tutorial on what all these symbols mean. But again, basically, the red dashed border means that it's possible to extend in that direction, expand in that direction to knock out that trip. One thing to keep in mind about the expansion interface is that the expansion display, these red dashed borders, show how much you'd expand in one direction. So I could expand all the way to the left to knock out this, or to the right to knock out this, but I can't knock out all of these trips. That would exceed the limit. And I have more options here by either clicking this or clicking the slide at the top. So one of the features of vacation is we can we can slide our vacation to the right or the left. So I can do that on individual lines by just clicking or touching and dragging wherever I need it to go. And it's going to show me with that slide which pairings are knocked out, which ones are not, and the credit hour value contained within. And then using this slide function, I can also go in here and slide all of the all the vacation periods. If I know I'm going to want to take vacation in one particular footprint. There are also these special buttons here. So if I know I want to take the maximum number of vacation credit hours as I can, I'm going to click Max Credit Hours, and it's going to slide to find the maximum that I can given the footprint that I put down when I set it up. And I can do the same if I hit Min. And something to note down here at the max, if you can see these pairings down here are not knocked out by vacation because Acrobid takes into account that carrying conflict is processed before vacation. And the last field here is target credit hours. So this is a 10-day vacation period. So by default, it's 60 hours. But let's say I only wanted to take 42. I wanted to save 18 hours. Well, I could hit slide, and that'll get as close as possible for each line. But what I probably want to do is hit slide and sort. And that's going to find the lines as close to 42 as possible and then put those at the very top. And that's really useful when you have, 400 lines in a bid pack. So if I only want to use 42 hours, it'll do all these calculations for me. And so I know which lines are accomplish my vacation goals. And I can go all the way down here, for instance, right click, select all above, and put all of these in a folder. And now I have 83 lines that I know will get me within 2 hours of my vacation goal. So similarly to carrying conflict, once I've got all my slides set up, I'm just going to turn the interface off. I can still see what's knocked out, but I think it's a little bit less cluttered, and I can always toggle that on and off if I need to make adjustments here or there. All right, let's move down the interface to filters. At the very top of filters is this little Venn diagram. If you click that, it can either put the interface behind the filters or in front of it. And one thing to note is when my filters are active, I can turn them on or off. It prevents me from reordering my lines. So the city filter will show all the lines that have that city. And that includes if you transit through a city. So for instance, if you live in DFW, it'll show lines that both lay over in DFW or have a deadhead through DFW. And this can be used in 2 ways. So obviously I can find trips that I want and put those in a folder. But I can also find cities that I don't want in order to put them in the trash. So essentially, filter for or filter against. Next are days off. I click this calendar, it'll let me select which days I want off. So if I wanted this weekend, or this weekend, these are the only remaining lines with those weekends off. And you can see it also selects reserve lines that have these weekends off. Now, previously we put in a vacation footprint that knocked out these reserve days. But because Acrobid doesn't know if you're going to input that slide or if you have the vacation hours available, it only shows you lines where you get those days off regardless of whether the vacation drop happens or not. Now, even if I turn off this filter, it's still going to highlight the weekends that I chose in order to give me some essay later while I reorganize lines. The next is Deadheads. This will show me all the front-end Deadheads, and this is the back-end Deadheads, and this is the double Deadheads. These are each pretty self-explanatory. When I open them up, they're going to have a slider that lets me adjust block hours, for instance, layover times, takeoff times. So for instance, if I only want day flying, I can create a filter like this. I could select all the lines, and I could put them in a folder. And now all my day flying is here in folder 2. RFO pairings, out and backs, and this is often used by commuters who don't want out and backs, and you can filter these out into the trash. Single leg duty or international. Other than using the filters tab, there's another way of filtering trips. So let's say you're a commuter and you only want trips with fewer than 4 commutes. I'm going to come here to sort. I'm going to find commutes. And I'm going to find all the trips with more than 5 commutes, or more than 4. Right click, deselect all the 4s. And so everything's selected now, 60 lines. I'm going to throw into the trash. And now what I'm left with, I've filtered essentially for commutes. And this can be used for anything in the sort tab. And I think that pattern is one of the most powerful ways to use Acrobid. So for instance, I can find all the day flying that I want, or that I find acceptable. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a space here in this second folder. So all these are going to go to the top. I'm going to find my day flying threshold that's acceptable to me, put them in an empty folder, and now I know all these trips are acceptable. So it's either days off, in this case it's day flying, maybe it's Deadheads or commutability. And then I can go up here and do a sort, say pay. And now I very, very quickly separated trips that are acceptable for me to fly, and they're already ordered pretty close to the way that I want to bid them. And I've done all of this without messing up the original ordering that I've done at the beginning. And that brings us down here to the footer. So inevitably, we're going to be scrolling and we're going to find a trip, or excuse me, a line that's perfect. Oh, I want this one. It's way down here. I need to put it somewhere else. So I'm going to move that down here into the footer. And I can put multiple trips down here if I find multiple lines that I want. And those stay with me regardless of where I navigate. So maybe I want to put one here in the middle, and these other 2 are going to go in a different folder. And a few more things I didn't cover. Up here in the display options, I can adjust the carryover display. So this gives me a little more detail when I look at it like this, about when trips start and end. And this shows me carryover all the way to the maximum. And then if I want to, once the awards are out, if I type in my seniority number here, push this eyeball button, it's going to show all the awards. It's also going to open up sorting options for the awards right here in the Sort tab. If you want some backup lines, like the 9-9 series, those are going to start in the trash, and they can be dragged to the footer or to any folder, just like any other line. And then the other thing that I haven't really talked about is the secondary lines, which you can see here, S1 through S whatever, and reserve lines as well. You can see the A, B, or R reserve right on the label. And that leaves us with just the submit dialog. So here we've made our bid. I've come up here, I've saved it to my device, or I've saved it to the cloud. And now these are the same options I have when I submit it to VIPS. So read through those, select them, make sure that my VPN is configured properly. And once you've verified everything's correct, you've accepted the terms and conditions, this button will submit you directly to VIPS. And you're going to get a confirmation page that you can see and a confirmation number as well. And that's also going to automatically do a cloud save for you, just in case you forget. That's it. Thanks for watching, and thanks for using Acrobid.